Hello and welcome. Today I wanted to touch on what I believe is the inheritance of a past society and the introduction of the society that we now call our own. And in the old photographs, how much evidence I feel there is of this. I mean, we are a people that are supposed to be just starting out. And what we have is absolutely advanced technology and architecture and infrastructure. And it really doesn't make any sense in the mainstream historical narrative. But in the new understanding that we're gaining independently, it really does make sense. And this really is becoming more and more apparent that we are the inheritors of the past civilization that seems to have been wiped out. And whether this wipeout happened through the Great Flood, or whether it happened through the Great Flood and then there was a new introduction or a new wave, and then, the plagues and the mud floods perhaps take out the next wave. And I think that these pictures will, in some instances, clearly show at least two waves within photographic evidence, and we being the third. And really amazing that, that could happen so quickly, or, within 300 years. So let us jump into this website that I found in a link on one of Martin's videos from Flat Earth British. And this website, let's see if we can start at the beginning. In any case, what I've just been showing you is Ohio. Let me make it a little smaller. 1907. And so here we have the county soldiers and sailors monument in the public square. Civil War monument dedicated July 4th, 1894. And yet the picture is in 1907. And so, yeah, does this really seem like a, 10-year-old monument? Maybe some of the things at the base could possibly be, like these top portions here. But not this. No. That's not 10 years old. That weathering. And I don't think that this, Sultan character is even the type of thing that, they would have placed here to dedicate. So really interesting. I wish I could make out that writing right there, what that says. But really interesting. And everything you see in the background here, again, is going to be much older than we're told. Really amazing. I mean, again, we recognize that style. That's not our style. That's the Greco-Roman style. And why would our people just come over and begin building in this style? So now this is a pretty modern picture. Let's see, this is from 1943, but regardless, this is much older. And this, I believe, is in Chicago. And I believe it's one of the newspaper agencies that own this building, even to date, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, when you're down on the street level, it might just look like an ordinary building. And it's not until you get to the very top here that you realize it's much older. This is something we would see in Europe, or, you know, again, this is not, you know, for Americans to just, you know, thinking of our narrative. No, no way does this just arrive on the scene. Do we just start building this way? And we don't build like this now. And we didn't then. I mean, this is the peak of an older civilization, not our own. Again here, the peak of a prior civilization. This doesn't belong in, you know, 1850s, early 1900s. And we'll see that with a lot of these photos. Now, this photo is really telling a view of a church in Charleston, South Carolina, 1865. Now again, you know, there might be the Civil War, as they say, although I don't think so. There's something else going on here. You know, this is not caused by a war. This ruin. And here is a great example of what I was telling you about, how we have, in this very picture, how we see two reset civilizations. We see an older, much older brick interior of a building, and this is a quadruple brick thick. I mean, this is built well. And yet it's old, and then we see a resurfacing of it, a beautiful resurfacing, but nevertheless, and given the impression as if it is block work, but no, we're able to see that. And now this is being ruined, and soon this will probably be torn down. So here we see two, very possibly two civilizations. And again, this column. I mean, this column, this is something, this is a ruin in America in the 1850s. When did I say this was? 1865. Obviously, it's much older. You know, this column, we could say it's at least 50 years old, and that would be generous. So this is a ruin in America. This is a Greco-Roman style ruin in America. And I think the Civil War may have been to purge a lot of this architecture and essentially historical reference. You know, because to me, what were, you know, were they lobbing cannons at the tops of the buildings and you know, blowing the tops of these structures? You know, to me, this seems like a war against the architecture. Really interesting. And I'm going to try to move kind of briskly. Let me increase my pace a little. Another example here in St. Louis. No, I'm sorry, New Orleans, 1905. Hence, you know, this is much older. If this picture is 1905, we could say these buildings are 100 years old. You know, putting them in the early 1800s, being generous again. And no way. Our country's formed in 1776, and we're told in 50 years this would have all been built out, only to be destroyed. Really, really amazing. And beautiful. See, look how they've torn this one down here, this Antiquitech. And this is what it looked like. And you can see this is already old. This is already, and the city is as well. Oops. Let's see if, okay, get lost there. Now let's go 1865, South Carolina, Charleston. Again, the same thing. What was going on in the Civil War? No. I mean, again, this is so much older. This resembles European architecture. And I don't think any kind of war could do this kind of damage. I mean, this damage came from the top. Look at these stairs. And he seems like he knows something. But let's move on. 1908 Cathedral in Massachusetts, St. Paul's Church. And let's zoom in, let's get better perspective. Now this looks like it has been mud flooded. Again, there's a whole story here that we see exposed that is completely buried on this side, completely underground. And just really beautiful. This reminds me of a church, a cathedral I'd seen in Europe. Same kind of blockwork, same masterful building. Doesn't seem like, you know, it was freshly built, that's for sure. This is amazing. And now this is in Mexico, but I just thought it was absolutely amazing as well. You know, Mexico, and it just seems so old. You know, this wall here, and this could be renovation, but what an amazing style. Absolutely amazing. Past civilization being used. Now this, I believe, is in Guatemala. I've never seen this picture. Guatemala, 1915. And absolutely amazing. Now I think what we're seeing here is again some revealing of two different eras. You could see how this amazing, amazing intricacy is actually breaking off. You see how it's broken off here. So, you know, this gives us an idea of how they were actually constructing these. Look at the bottom here. So perhaps, you know, the last deluge that came and flooded the earth, you know, it probably stripped off this lower level here. And look how many layers we can see here. So now we have a brick core. I don't know if you're picking that up. We have a brick column core, then a surfacing, some kind of a wrapping, and then another surfacing, which you can see up here. You see this bird, and it has all of the rest of the ornamentation has broken off, but we basically see three layers on these columns. And up here at the top, where it was higher away from the water and this flooding, it's much more preserved. This is probably the final product. And second layer, and the third, the deeper. And who knows? Who knows if it was one builder that built it all in these stages, or if it actually was a stage thing, you know. One reset after another. There it is. So in any case, yes, really amazing. Really, and in this case, clearly an older people, and here is the newer people with a basket on her head, which I think is really impressive, but not her people, but living amongst it and probably occupying it. So let's move on. Now here, you know, I was really amazed with this building. So impressed, just so impressed. And I almost wondered if, you know, you'd build a building like this with this glory and later put a cemetery right next to it. So I almost felt like this cemetery was an afterthought, and I have a later picture that may depict that, I mean, I don't think so. I think this is going to be like a beautiful park that you're going to have, next to a gorgeous building like this. But no, in the afterthought, this becomes a cemetery. And even the building next to it is just gorgeous. I mean, the ornamentation here reminds me of Angkor Wat, Cambodia. Really, really beautiful. Now, here's a little Ohio. A little taste of Cincinnati 1907. And really, really beautiful. Again, it just didn't seem like, just didn't seem like the beginning. It seemed like the architecture of the end. And the people really reflect that, these people seem odd. Everybody's very leisure. Everybody seems actually pretty privileged. Everybody's smoking it up, and they have nice suits, and the horses are beautiful, and the architecture is old, and there aren't that many people. I mean, the living seems to be pretty good for in this 1907 Cincinnati inheritors. Now here, 1900 St. Paul Church, and yes, the church is absolutely gorgeous. Oops, I've gone into some kind of crazy zone. Well, in any case, look at this. Look at this ornamentation. Again, very Cambodian-like. But that doesn't mean anything. Look at this. I mean, absolutely amazing. The peak, the absolute peak of the Greco-Roman style right here. Just amazing. I just wanted to emphasize that, that this is the end of a civilization. This is absolute glory. This is not the beginning. And any date that we're given on these photos, you can easily, subtract 100 years. Just look at the wear of the buildings and, easily 100 years, probably more. Probably more. I mean, look at the wearing of these columns up here. These haven't been cleaned in a while. This is aged. This is probably 200 years old, and this easily blows our narrative out of the water. That this, that our country starts in 1776. It just can't be. Anyway, I'll move on. Where are we here? Lower Manhattan in 1903. Just remarkable, remarkable architecture. Look at this. I mean, they don't leave anything out, this last civilization. The ornamentation, nothing is ordinary. No street lamps. This has to be some kind of wireless. Come on. Amazing. And this statue of this man, he's not from our time or from even our history's reference. I don't know. Again, the ornamentation. Look at this. Look at the ornamentation, way, way beyond these people. These people don't need ornamentation like this. That doesn't make sense either. in these streets. I mean, you're going to build like this and you're going to leave the streets muddy? No, they haven't quite recovered yet. You know, there's still rubble, but yet many people have been introduced at this point in 1903. So here we have Charleston, South Carolina. Again, does it look like the Civil War? No, this looks like something we see in, I don't know, this seems like some aerial force. You know, were they shooting cannons in the air again? Just, I don't know. No, this doesn't seem like Civil War, and this doesn't seem like Civil War people built this. It seems like it doesn't fit our narrative whatsoever. This shouldn't be in America. And yet now it's already a ruin. Already a ruin and soon to be destroyed. We're lucky to even see these pictures. Now here we have Boston, Massachusetts. 1907. I'd say this building is at least 100 or 200 years old. So again, that doesn't make sense. You know, nobody built this in the 1700s in America. Obviously they did, but not our people. It doesn't fit our narrative. This is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And they're telling us this is the First Trinity, First Church of Christ, Scientist, whatever that is. Scientology? I don't know. Really amazing. And these people, look at this. There's just 3 people hanging out here. Inheritors. And here's a little bombing after in South Carolina, 1865. Look how old this is. So old. Look how old the streets. No. No. You know, this is something else happened here, and the war is just the excuse for this. But I don't care how many cannons you could lob around and how many fires you could have. You're not going to create this. This is something else. And really amazing. This, I believe, South Carolina, 1865. Again, just absolutely amazing. I don't know if we're seeing, I don't know if that's a person or it must be. It's very odd. Very, very, very odd. Shadowing and the length of the arm. I don't know. It's going off on something else. And the parking barricades here really caught my attention. This column, this little mini, I don't know. I don't even know. And yeah, I think we've come full circle here. So that's it for now. Just a quick little tour, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a blessed day.